This is another important question about the visa interview. Whether you are the DV lottery winner already, or you are winning, or in the future you go to apply, and you have to reschedule the date you are given for the visa interview. So, the first notification from KCC, from Kentucky Consular Center, is the notification that you have won the DV lottery. When the results are opening, you check you put your confirmation number, you put all your information, year of birth, and you put your last name and authentication code. It will tell you have been selected. If you have been selected, you will be able to see the first notification, which is the first PDF letter that you have won the DV lottery. Then you fill the DSC 260, which is the visa form. Then at one point, KCC, Kentucky Consular Center, will ask you for the documents. Asking for the documents is not any notification letter. Then from there, when your case is valid, available under the visa bulletin, you'll be scheduled for the interview. When they schedule for the interview, let's say your interview maybe is December 5, but for you maybe for one or another reason, you are not in the country, or you know for sure, and there's like when they give the second notification letter, the interview schedule, usually you have 4 to 6 weeks for the interview until the next interview. So if you know for sure, maybe I don't have enough money at this moment, let's say I'm married and I have 3 kids, obviously I need to have more money, and maybe you say, if I have the interview, let's say on June 1st, I will not have the money at this time. I want to change, maybe to add 1 month or 2 months later. How can you be able to reschedule, to change the date from your interview? You don't communicate to KCC. When they send you the interview date, they will tell you the interview date and they will tell you the location of the interview. Remember, the location of the interview is the location you put into your DS260 already. So you know the location. So let's say it's Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Let's say it is Accra, Ghana. Or your interview is in Abu Dhabi. Or your interview is in Nairobi in Kenya. Or your interview is in Cape Town, wherever, if the US Embassy is in Cape Town, in South Africa, wherever the city they are. Or the interview is going to be in Antananarivo in Tana, Madagascar, at the US Embassy. So if that is the case, what you need to do, you don't write it to KCC and ask, can you change the date to another date? Once the interview is scheduled, you are no longer have any business with KCC. Now you will be able to deal with the US Embassy. Before the interview schedule, you have no business with the US Embassy. You are dealing with the KCC. Because if you communicate with the US Embassy, they say communicate with KCC, they haven't have any notification about you. They'll tell you communicate to KCC. But all the process they are done, KCC is sending the interview date. After the interview date, your business with KCC is over. You are dealing with the US Embassy. You have 3 things you can be able to do, 2 or 3 things you can be able to do. Number 1, if you want to change the date, you will communicate direct with the US Embassy to ask them, can you change the date? My interview is June 1st. Will it be okay if I can have interview any day in the month of August? You don't need to give any reason. You can say, because I'm planning, if you want to give the reason, I'm out of the country or I'm planning to do something, then the US Embassy will email you the specific date or 3 options, 2 or 3 options. We have these options. Which one do you want? We have this date at this time. We have this date at this time. Which one do you prefer? You can communicate directly with the US Embassy. KCC doesn't change the interview once it is scheduled. It's you with the local embassy. That's number 1. But in addition to that, if you want to go with an interpreter, once you get the second notification, is you and the US Embassy to communicate, to say that, yes, I will be coming on the interview on the scheduled date, and I'll have the interpreter, and the interpreter is Ernest Boniface Makulilo, and this is the credential of this person. You give even the name. There is a procedure you have to communicate to them in advance if you are going with the interpreter. That is another thing which is important to know. But don't try to change the date 2 days left. I want to change it today. At least have at least a few days in advance, even a week or a month, just to be in a safe side. If they say no, yes, you can be able to have that kind of communication. Because once we send the email, they don't respond right away. They can take 2 to 3 business days. So don't send the email today, you are interviewed tomorrow. Can I change the interview date? You have to give them enough time for them to be able to do the interview. So that is something you need to understand about changing the interview scheduled date. How do you do that? Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and all the best, everyone.